Meyer, and I'm a drummer, among other things, and I'm going to be leading you in a little bit of music a couple times throughout our time together here on the Multicultural track. And I'd like to start with a song called The Tugboat and the Barge. And this song is the story of two ships that start out on opposite ends of the ocean, each with their own unique song. And as they sail towards each other, each gets to hear the song of the other. So I'm going to be the tugboat on this end of the ocean. My friend Leon has graciously agreed to be the barge on that end. I was worried about you not seeing us, so I picked the tallest of my friends to be the barge, with the lowest voice. And everyone in the front half of the room is going to sing the tugboat part with me. Everyone in the back half will sing the barge part with Leon. And we're going to start off very quietly on opposite ends of the ocean. And as we move towards each other, the songs will get louder and louder and louder until we meet in the middle and you all are singing with all the air in your lungs. And then we're going to cross paths, and you all will switch halves. So once I'm in the back half will join me in singing the tugboat part. The front half will switch to the barge part. We'll sail on as the songs fade out. Does that make sense? Cool. You need to learn the song. The barge part goes like this. Hey, oh, oh, hey. Try that. Hey, oh, oh, hey. Beautiful. The tugboat part goes like this. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la. Keep going. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la. Front half, keep doing that. Back part, you sing your barge part. Eh, eh, oh, oh. Beautiful. Stop for a moment. Let's take a deep breath together. Start quietly. And the tugboats. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la la. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 One more time. I'm from Boston, but I did this song for a service in Oregon several years ago. And someone came up to me after the service and they said, "Sing the barge part again." And I didn't think it was that interesting, but I sang the barge part. And they proceeded to sing the tugboat part to me in Hebrew, which totally blew me away. It turns out, as I found out, that this song comes from the Jewish tradition of Smiros, singing songs together after Shabbat services on Friday evenings when friends and family are gathered together. The words in Hebrew are Lo yisagoy el goy charev, lo du'od milchama. That means nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So does the song feel a little different knowing a little bit about the culture that it came from, a little bit of the story of that tradition? As we move towards becoming a multicultural denomination, I think music can serve as the door to welcome us into the house of another culture. But let's not mistake the door for the whole house. The whole house of a culture is the whole story of that people. And the more of that story that we know, the more of that story that we tell when we share some music with each other, the more our relationship with them becomes truly authentic. And there's a lot of stories we can share about any music that we would do in a congregation. There's the story of who wrote the piece of music, why they wrote it, the meaning of the words. There's the story of how the music came to our congregation. And I think most importantly, there's the story of the politics and the struggles of the climate in which that music was created. One example of that for me is the story of Come, Come, Whoever You Are, which we sang at the beginning of opening worship. And that was written by Jalaluddin Rumi, who is a Sufi poet and mystic. What I learned just recently was that Rumi's family was forced to flee their house when he was still a young man because of the Mongol invasion so many centuries ago. And they fled to what must have felt like the other end of the earth at that time. So these words, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, that feels different knowing that it was written by a refugee, right? I was talking with Dr. Barnwell in preparation for the opening ceremony yesterday, and she talked about the African perspective of music, which is that every piece of music has a function and a purpose. And I think she probably meant that differently from what my drum teacher taught me when I started playing drum set, which is that the purpose of drumming is to look cool and pick up chicks, I guess. I think I would commend this multicultural track to him. But if we're gonna perform or incorporate music from Africa or the African diaspora then, which has affected all of the music, almost all of the music that we hear in this hemisphere today, there's this question that we have to ask ourselves: what was the function of this music? What is the purpose of it? One song we sang last night is Senzeni Na, which was a prayer sung by the people of South Africa struggling against the apartheid regime. And it was something that when a couple dozen or 100 or a couple thousand black South Africans got together, they would sing this song over and over and over again to prepare them to go outside and confront the state and the army of the apartheid regime. So this was a song to spiritually prepare oneself to go face down a tank. If we take a song like Senzeni Na and incorporate it into our worship, which is a traditional Protestant liturgy, and we put it in a place where traditionally, years back, there might have been a Bach cantata, we're changing the meaning of that song a little bit. And if we don't change the format of the service, or if we don't change the words around that song to give it the context, to share that meaning, we risk losing the larger purpose of that song, and we risk falsifying our relationship with that culture. When we do share these stories, though, the more stories we share, the more we can get a little bit more welcomed into that house, the more we can understand the whole story of the culture. So sharing that context in the form of the worship as well as the content means we deepen our music. It means we deepen the spiritual aspects of the worship. It means we deepen our own understanding of our identity and relation to the rest of the world. And that's what gives us the chance to reach across borders and build the multicultural denomination that we want to build.